everyone, it's DiegoDoom here. Today I'm bringing you another review. Today I'll be reviewing ES Gokin Series number 17, Shin Getter 1. Now we all know the history of Shin Getter 1. If not, check out my review of Super Robot Gokin Shin Getter 1. This particular figure is part of the ES Gokin line created by Action Toys, a company in line with future models. The ES Gokin line is known for creating diecast super deformed figures of classic Super Robot and anime characters. Be sure to check out the Shin Getter 1 manga and the 1998 OVA, Getter Robo Armageddon. They are absolutely fantastic. ES Gokin Series number 17, Shin Getter 1 is another fantastic release in the ES Gokin line. Shin Getter 1 has a fantastic sculpt, fantastic paint applications, fantastic accessories, and a great range of articulation. Let's jump right into it and take a look at Shin Getter 1 himself. Shin Getter 1 has a great range of articulation. First, let's start with the head. We can look up, down, left, right. When turning the head left or right, you're going to want to make sure the shoulders are either forward or backward so the pointed accents on the sides of Shin Getter 1's head can clear them. Moving on to the shoulders themselves, the shoulders can rotate a full 360 degrees. The shoulders can move forward and back. The arms come up less than 90 degrees. We have very nice single jointed elbows. The elbows can swivel. The fists are on ball joints, so we can tilt spin these freely. In the upper chest, we can lean forward, backward, twist side to side, and lean side to side. There is no waist movement. Moving down to the legs, this time around things get a little bit particular. Like with most ES Gokin figures, we can pull down on the hip joint, increasing the range of motion in the legs. Now what I mean by things getting pretty particular, you'll notice the pivot joint here in the hip. Depending on how it's positioned will determine how we can articulate the legs. If the pivot joint is facing forward, then we can kick forward and backward. If it's out to the side, we can kick out to the side pretty high. One thing I've noticed, this pivot joint moves independently from the thigh, so when you rotate the thigh, the pivot joint does not always go with it. So what you're going to have to do is really finesse the pivot joint in addition to the thigh if you want to get some good posability out of Shin Getter 1. Moving on, we have a thigh swivel. We have very nice single jointed hard ratcheting knees. The feet can tilt and swivel, but furthermore, we can pull down on the ankle joint and increase the range of motion in the feet. Like most ES Gokin figures, Shin Getter 1 has a light up gimmick. To set this all up, first you'll need to remove the panel on the back of Shin Getter 1's head and insert two LR44 batteries. The Energizer equivalent for LR44 batteries is 357. Once you have the batteries inserted and the cover back on, you can activate the light up feature by pressing the button on the back of Shin Getter 1's head. Shin Getter 1's light up feature is absolutely fantastic. It's super bright and gives the sense Shin Getter 1 is surging with Getter energy just like in the anime and manga. To further enhance this very cool light up feature, there is an extra bit of articulation in the head. Just above the battery section, there's a dial we can turn left or right that controls Shin Getter 1's eyes. This feature really gives Shin Getter 1 some personality and adds to his menacing look. Out of all my ES Gokin figures, Shin Getter 1 has the best and brightest light up feature. It really feels like Shin Getter 1 is alive and ready for action. Shin Getter 1 has some great diecast content, giving this figure a very solid feel. Here are Shin Getter 1's diecast parts from what I can tell. When it comes to sculpt and paint apps, Shin Getter 1 is absolutely fantastic. Starting from the top, we have Shin Getter 1's head. At the top of the head, we have Shin Getter 1's signature pointed head sculpt. The head has a crimson paint app. As we come down to the forehead, we have four translucent emerald green panels revealing the nicely detailed inner workings of Shin Getter 1's head. On the sides of the head, we have the drill spike accents with a nice sharp spiral sculpt and a metallic silver paint app. The eyes have a nice angular sculpt with translucent yellow lenses. Inside of the lit up eyes, we can see Shin Getter 1's pupils. The mouth guard has the same emerald green translucent panels as the forehead that reveal even more Shin Getter 1's inner workings. Moving down, we have the chest. At the top of the chest, we have the metallic gold buds where Shin Getter 1 can pull out his scythe. The chest has a nice robotic sculpt with a crimson red, white, and emerald green paint app. In the chest, we can see even more of the translucent panels. Moving out, we have the shoulders with a nice large sculpt. The outside of the shoulders have a very nice metallic crimson paint app, and the inside of the shoulders have a white paint app. Moving down to the arms, we have Shin Getter 1's massive forearm blades with a nice metallic silver paint app. The arms have a red paint app with emerald green panel lines. Moving on to the legs, the kneecaps have the same metallic crimson paint app as the shoulders. The legs have a nice crimson paint app with emerald green panel lines. In the shins, we have the translucent panels revealing even more of Shin Getter 1's inner workings. As a whole, Shin Getter 1 turned out to be absolutely fantastic. The sculpt and paint apps are very well done, the articulation is great, the light-up feature is fantastic, and there is plenty of diecast content. Now, let's take a look at Shin Getter 1's accessories. Shin Getter 1 comes with 2 pairs of wings, 2 pairs of hands, 1 Getter Blast Cannon, 2 Getter Beam effect parts, 1 Stoner Sunshine effect part, 1 Getter Scythe, 1 Double Tomahawk, and 1 stand. First, let's start with the wings. Shin Getter 1 comes with a pair of large wings and a pair of small wings. Both pairs of wings have a great smooth yet sharp bat-like sculpt with a dark purple paint app. I assume the large wings are for when Shin Getter 1 is stationary, and the smaller wings are for when he's flying, or to give more room when holding the other accessories. The wings attach by plugging them into the articulated pegs on Shin Getter 1's back. Now with the wings attached, Shin Getter 1 is fully complete and ready for action. Next we have the hands. Shin Getter 1 comes with a pair of open hands and a pair of holding hands. Both pairs of hands have a fantastic robotic sculpt with a crimson paint app and emerald green panel lines. The hands attach via ball joints. When removing the hands, hold close to the wrist joint so the pressure is on the hand and not the wrist joint itself. When I removed the hands for the first time, it was pretty tough. It was so tough I had to grab a hair dryer to soften up the hands, so do be aware of that. Once you remove the fists, attach the desired pair of hands to match your favorite dynamic pose. Next, we have the Getter Blast Cannon. The Getter Blast Cannon has a fantastic detailed mechanical sculpt with various panel lines and a gunmetal paint app. The Getter Blast Cannon is held very firmly by the holding hands. Now, with the Getter Blast Cannon in hand, Shin Getter 1 can blast the invaders to bits. Next, we have the 2 Getter Beam effect parts. The first effect part is the normal Getter Beam. The Getter Beam effect part has a great sculpt. At the base of the beam, we have a nice sharp translucent emerald green energy burst. The beam itself has a translucent emerald green smooth sculpt. The second effect part is the Shin Getter Beam effect part. The Shin Getter Beam has a long and more narrow sculpt as compared to the Getter Beam. The Shin Getter Beam has a nice translucent crimson paint app. Both of the beams attach via magnets. The Getter Beam attaches to Shin Getter 1's forehead, and the Shin Getter Beam attaches to his stomach. Now, with the Getter Beams attached, Shin Getter 1 can blast his foes away with pure Getter energy. Next, we have the Stoner Sunshine effect part. The Stoner Sunshine effect part has a great translucent emerald green energy surging sculpt with various spikes. To set this effect part up, simply peg the effect part into the open hole in the palm of the open hands. Now, Shin Getter 1 can finish off the invaders with one of his strongest attacks. Next, we have the Getter Scythe and Double Tomahawk. Both the Getter Scythe and Double Tomahawk have fantastic sharp sculpts with silver, gunmetal, and dark gunmetal paint apps. To set this all up, first plug the rod into the holding hands. Next, plug the weapon of choice into the top of the rod, and that's it. Now, Shin Getter 1 has 2 options when it comes to cutting the invaders to pieces. Finally, we have the stand. The stand has a nice hexagonal base with 2 very sturdy articulated arms, an accessory to help support Shin Getter 1 in the air, and a piece to connect the base to other ES Gokin bases. To set Shin Getter 1 up on the stand, all we have to do is grab the accessory stand piece, plug it into Shin Getter 1's lower back, and attach Shin Getter 1 to the stand. With the aid of the stand, we can now put Shin Getter 1 into some good flying poses. As I've said before, the ES Gokin stands are nice, but they are limited. I wish I could use an Act 4 stage stand to put Shin Getter 1 into flying poses like my other ES Gokin figures, but this time around, Shin Getter 1 is far too large and heavy. It looks like we're stuck using the ES Gokin stand if you want to put Shin Getter 1 into a good flying pose. Now that we have the accessories out of the way, let's do some size comparisons. To conclude the review, ES Gokin Series number 17, Shin Getter 1 is another fantastic release in the ES Gokin line. Shin Getter 1 has a fantastic sculpt, fantastic paint applications, fantastic accessories, and a great range of articulation. This figure is definitely very nice, very neat, and very cool. Now I know not everyone is a fan of the SD look for various reasons, so I'm not going to recommend this figure to absolutely everyone. If you're a fan of SD proportions, get a Robo, diecast content, and love the Super Robot Wars games, then I absolutely recommend this figure to you. Be sure to check out the Shin Getter 1 manga and the 1998 OVA, Getter Robo Armageddon. They are absolutely fantastic. This has been another review by DiegoDoom. Thank you very much for watching, and please stay tuned for more figure reviews. Check out the Facebook fan page, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and add me on Gemr. Like, comment, and subscribe.